welcome you all to this, our 31st annual meeting. It's great to be meeting again internationally in the wonderful city of Berlin. It's great to see so many wonderful faces in the crowd, so many familiar faces, but also brand new faces and young faces to Spinach. If you are new to our society, we welcome you to your first meeting and hope that you will take advantage of all that the meeting has to offer. We encourage you to engage with established and new members through our Emerging Professionals Committee and to find out ways in which you can become involved in the society through Council and the committees that are part of Council. The local organizing committee has done a tremendous job of providing us with a full and engaging program of events, and we thank them for the huge amount of work that they've done, that they put into this event to make it a success. We also thank the host organizations, obviously, for providing us with the event and being able to have an engaging annual meeting again. This is obviously a very interesting time for collections, with both challenges and opportunities presenting themselves at every turn. Budgetary restrictions are necessitating new and innovative mechanisms for caring for our collections, while the worldwide digitization initiatives and ongoing community collaboration is providing new and exciting opportunities for collections use by an ever-growing external user community. Collections advocacy and exposure through public and social media is also highlighting the collections' role in predictive modeling, climate change, and many core environmental principles of our day. And I'm sure that we'll have many lively discussions about these and other topics over the next couple of days. I'd like to echo what Christian said. Meetings like these are obviously not possible without the valued financial support of our vendors and sponsors. We thank them all for their continued support and encourage you to do the same by going down and visiting the vendor fair and having a look at the new products and technologies that they have on show. Our travel grant program has once again provided financial assistance for the attendance of 5 new emerging members of our society, who are being mentored by established collections professionals, and we thank the mentors for their help in blooding these new members into the society. If you need any assistance during the meeting, please go to any of the local organizing committee or find a council member, and we would be happy to help you with anything that you may need taken care of. So there were a couple of announcements that folks asked me to make while I'm up here. One is that there is something new this year. There is a poster competition that we have received one of these pieces of paper in your program. I would encourage you to go and have a look at all the posters and vote for your 3 top choices. Through the assistance of both Springer and Schweizerbarth, they have donated 3 books that are going to be handed out as prizes to those 3 individuals who have the best posters on show. Carrie Harris from our Emerging Professionals group has also asked me to announce that there are still a couple of spots left in the EPG luncheon on Wednesday. So if you're interested in coming to the EPG luncheon, go to the registration desk and sign up, please, and take. There are also going to be T-shirts available. There are some for sale behind the registration desk. And then there will also be an online form where you can go and order T-shirts, and there are a lot more options online for different colors of shirts and things like that. The EPG group is also looking for an international relations person, somebody who can interface with our International Relations Committee and the EPG group. So if you're interested in getting involved in that, I would encourage you to contact them. So all that remains is for me to wish you a productive, engaging, and fun-filled meeting. Thank you.
Hello and welcome again to Berlin. My name is Johannes Vogel. I'm the director of the Museum für Naturkunde here in Berlin, where we had a fun evening yesterday. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed the food and the facilities. Practice what we preach. Well, Rob Huxley, very well done. We both worked worked together at the Natural History Museum for a long time, and I'm sure he can vouch that that is what directors do all the time. No, that is actually the question we ask ourselves all the time, and that is what probably staff behind our backs talks about a lot. It is much more tricky than you think, but I think collections have a lot to offer to the world. And I think that is one of the key questions that need to be addressed from this community. As I mentioned briefly yesterday, Berlin has a very, very special place for collections. So, just briefly, Germany gets defeated by Napoleon. Prussia thinks, how are we going to get out of this mess? It's going to reform its educational system. Part of the educational system set up by Wilhelm von Humboldt, the brother of Alexander, is to look at a new university for Berlin. And this university, Humboldt University, becomes the model for all universities you have been taught at, namely a university where teaching and research are being combined for the first time. So it is a real success model. But now comes the clue. This university, focusing on teaching and research, is organized around collections. Collections at the heart of learning, at the heart of enlightenment, at the heart of looking at the world, trying to explain it, use it, make sense out of it, perhaps even protect it. This is the space that collections had in the past, and that is our job to get it back into that space. It is not there at the moment. The collections, digitization globally, will cost a fraction of sending a piece of metal to Mars. And what is it going to do at Mars? It's trying to find out whether there's water on Mars. Now, from what evidence do we know that there's water on Mars? Any mineralogists here? Piece of Mars meteorite in the Natural History Museum in London. An article published in '68 in a very unknown journal called Nature, saying that the minerals that are formed and part of this meteorite can only have formed in the presence of water. So why do we need to spend all that money going up there when we could digitize all the collections? Now you laugh about it, but think about it, how much it affects you that you do not get this argument across. Okay? So I think there's a big job to do. However, there is a new era for collections, and it's up to us to take this into our hands. It's quite visionary to have GGBN and SPNHC meeting, because genomics, the whole molecular biology revolution, is going to allow us to have completely new looks at collections. We need to think about what type of jobs we need to create, what type of skills we need to foster, what type of partnerships we need to create to harness the power of collections in the era of genomics and bioinformatics. Digitization is moving ahead with light speed. Again, other drivers, we have to work together with them. Bioinformatics, again driven by the medical profession, we have to use it. We need to rethink who we are, what we are, because in the end, it will be the people from the outside who will talk to politicians and funders how important we are for their work. That we know how important we are is good, but it probably doesn't matter less than when other people, our partners, say that about that. And that can only happen if we do partnership, only if we see the things in a bigger context. With collections, with genomics, with bioinformatics, with digitization, we are now in an era where we potentially can say, out of our collections, out of the information stored in our collections, in our staff, in our people, we can build a model of the world, perhaps even similar to what the climate change people have done with their physical models. We can do one for the world, the biosphere, and that would give collections an immensely powerful place in the world. There are other fantasies going through policy. I'm on the Government Advisory Committee for the Bioeconomy here in Germany. We had a Bioeconomy Summit not far from here earlier last year. Bioeconomy in Germany alone wants to release research and development to the tune of 30 billion euros by 2030. Now that dwarfs any investment in biodiversity. But you cannot think a bioeconomy without biodiversity. These are the type of streams I think we have to tap into. And for that, we need to have one scientific infrastructure. And that must be a global collection infrastructure. And it's up to you to find the ways how your ways of doing things up to this point may all be linked up to create this one resource for everybody to enjoy. Be it an amateur scientist, be it somebody at Mars trying to find out where the nearest meteorite is he can study. So this is really where the whole deal has to go. Green sustainable buildings is a huge deal for all of us. We attract large audiences. We bring people and science together in a unique way. That is something that we all have to work on. The authenticity arrives from our science and from our collections. These are top points we need to make. We have also top speakers here that will tell you more about how to link sustainability and all of this together. It's not just our buildings, it's the entire way how we work. And natural history has been a bit wasteful. And the best evidence for that in the past is for me that we have perhaps described 1.8 million species and haven't given it 18 million names. Now that is a waste of energy and effort that we, in my opinion, cannot afford any longer, that you cannot afford any longer as a community because it speaks of disorganization. So these are some of the challenges we need to look at. This conference, however, will be sustainable. There will be very excellent proceedings, but much more, there will be personal benefits for everybody who attends here because you can make new contracts, you can learn, and you can go away invigorated, facing the new challenges at home or facing directors who preach and not practice or whatever. So there's plenty to think about. But thank you, everybody, for organizing this conference, especially the committees of SPNHC and GGBN. It's really visionary that you are together. I hope that you can continue this liaison in the future, make it really work. Thank you very much to the Botanic Garden and my team at the Natural History Museum for making all of this possible. It has taken a lot of work, but it's a really, really fine outcome. And of course, all our sponsors, Leibniz Association, Synthesis, Freie Universität, Delta Design, Axial, DFG, and so on and so forth. But most of all, thank you to all of you for coming to Berlin. I hope you enjoy your stay, and I wish you an excellent conference.
Yeah, hello, my name is Thomas Borsch. I would like to welcome you on behalf of the Botanic Garden and Freie Universität Berlin. Also, it's our great pleasure to have you all here and to have the honor to organize this meeting. And I think I have some really complimentary words to say to Johannes. It's also fantastic that we're doing this together because, and this will also tell something about the history of Berlin, perhaps. There has been collaboration between our institution a lot until, well, the unfortunate Second World War and then the separation of the city and the country, but now it's increased again since '89. As you know, the wall came down and we're having this as one of the many events that we're really collaborating on. I would also like to mention a few things on our institution, the Botanic Garden, because I think we have 3 centuries of history, but this has a lot of things to do with, well, developments and also sustainability, and I will explain you why. Like many botanic gardens in the world, we started as a kitchen garden of the Royal Palace here in the city center, where you probably have seen or you may see that the city castle is being rebuilt. Then a century later, it became more scientific, moving to Schöneberg, to where the Clay Park is nowadays. Names with Wildenau and the botanical mentor of Humboldt is very important. So you see also also in this place, many things are really connected. And then 100 years later, the whole institution moved to Dahlem, to the southwest of Berlin. At that time, it was an agricultural area. But what is, I think, very important, at that time, 100 years ago, it was sort of the area of exploring the world. So it's really bringing knowledge to what, well, was sort of, the center at that time of science. But then, 100 years later, I think we're entering, and many botanic gardens and institutions are doing this, into a phase which, well, maybe that's the caring for biodiversity and the environment phase. And actually, this is also the motto of the conference, but it also highlights the activities and the change of our institutions, that we're much more sort of integrating societal needs up to really meeting challenges. And I think sustainability does not only integrate the research work and the collections, but also the education and work at a very broad public to integrate those. Now, what also is interesting, we're a university institution, and I think this is very interesting because we're directly involved, and many of you are in the academic education and internationalization, and I think this is very important. We have to think about the interface to society, and in fact think about how to develop a more sustainable society. So you will visit BGBM on Thursday and many other occasions, and I think there is opportunity to see there. Coming back to this year's motto, Spinach and GGBM sustainability, there will be the talk about societal relevance again, because Mikkel Braungart is talking not just about recycling, but thoughts how to cradle design in order to be very integral. And of course, there are things which are part of that: energy renovation. You may see, like what buildings are renovated. We have done a thing in the tropical greenhouse, which has been, and nobody thought it's really possible to save like 70% of primary energy, but it works. So I think you just have to try things and try and get it going. And I think that's also just the inspiration that our institutions can get to places of a general public, where we have to commit and convey this also to a broad audience. But please also allow me a few remarks on the field of science in the context of basically the Global Genome Biodiversity Network, because that's indeed fascinating to have both societies together. And if you see, well, what actually the field of networking DNA collections has done, please allow me the remark. We had a very visionary at that time. I was not director at that place, so I'm allowed to say that. Project funded by the German Science Foundation, which is the DNA Bank network, starting in 2007. Which was designed in line with the GBIF structures in order to look for synergies and links. And actually what has happened is the DNA Bank team, with many institutions in Germany across all groups of organisms, pioneered in the development of electronic tools, but also standards for data management. And I think this has come along, and many other countries and institutions have joined. And then in 2011, the Global Genome Initiative was started by the Smithsonian Institution as a science-based endeavor. And well, the Global Genome Biodiversity Network came into life, and I think we're sort of at a phase where globally things get arranged and merged together, and this is fantastic to have this actually global integration of procedures. So even in the last week, and you have probably followed the emails, it's really remarkable to have 5 new data providers having come online just a few days before our conference. But what is also fundamental, that's actually the influence of these developments on the way how research is undertaken in biology. And I think if you are, well, looking at the way data are derived from organisms, so that may be DNA sequences, it can be chemical substance or anatomy whatsoever, this can only be reproducible if they're linked to a specimen, and this specimen has to be deposited in a collection. And the identification of the specimen specimen can be checked or even altered when the concept of the species may change according to the process of knowledge. And this is also the first factor, reproducibility. The other issue is, well, data are in many cases often additive if they can be derived from the same individual. And this is very important in times where actually research is shifting from model to non-model organisms, and we have to think about how to organize the science. And I think, well, as a biologist, I want to stress this. Other sciences have, well, who outsiders have considered to be hard, so chemistry, physics, actually have been much more rigorous in the past in that sense. So I think you all, our communities, have done a lot of work and are on a very good way to actually creating a paradigm shift in, well, making biology much more reproducible in that sense. So I think the many names published, well, that's also an issue of progress in science, but I think this is a very crucial meeting. This is a very crucial, or these societies and communities are very crucial, because I think we are now in a very good position to argue together with our colleagues from other scientific disciplines that our science is as good as theirs, if you allow me this comment. And plus, also this is a question of sustainability, considering that who is paying our efforts is mostly the taxpayer, at least here in Germany. So data have to be reused, have to be accessible and sustainable, and therefore this is also connected very much to our motto, sustainability. So many stakeholders as possible. To conclude, the technical, ethical, legal challenges by our physical and data collections can only be addressed jointly. So and funders, and this just remains to wish you a very fruitful stay in Berlin and an interesting and inspiring conference.
In Berlin, and on behalf of the organizing team, I would like to welcome you here in Berlin. It is our second GGBN meeting. So 3 years ago, someone had this crazy idea, let's do a conference. And GGBN said, well, it's really a crazy idea, but let's do it. So we had this first meeting in London, which was really, really successful. And so you said, let's do it again, and let's continue these conferences. So that's why we are here in Berlin, and it's so great to see you. I see so many familiar faces. It's like a little family coming together. And I know that for many of you, it feels like GGBN is coming home with this conference, because it all began here in Berlin 10 years ago. So welcome home. And this is a very special conference for GGBN, but also for me, because I'm involved in this project for 10 years now. So, and the whole GGBN team worked really hard to make this sustainable and turn this into an organization that really can survive, so to say. So at this conference, the governance model will come into force. And this is what we were working for many years now. And many of you already support GGBN very well. So I would like to thank you for your trust and support. And yeah, I would like also to thank our sponsors. These are Greiner Bio1, MVA Chart, FluidX Brooks, Fortitude, and Dry Bank Labs for that generous support. Thanks a lot. And I would also like to thank you, the SPNHC team, for doing this little adventure together with us. We are a very young organization. You have your 31st meeting. I'm thinking of the 31st meeting of GGBN. Don't know if I will attend it, but I hope there will be one, at least. So thanks to SPNHC to do this together with us. Thanks to MFN and BGBM to support this conference. And I would like to thank all the helpers in the background, the IT, the administration, the graphic team, the printing team, the communication outreach. You're really a great help. And I would like to ask the core team of the organizers to come here. It is Thomas von Rintelen, my co-host from the Museum für Naturkunde. Katie Barker from Smithsonian. Katie, are you here? Please come up. And Ole Seeberg from NHM Denmark. Please come up. So yeah, thanks a lot for your help. We couldn't have done this without you. And yeah, I wish you not one but two wonderful conferences. Enjoy the networking, enjoy the vendors, and well, thanks for coming.
sort all of the sort of thanksgivings, so I'm not going to repeat them, but can only concur with her remarks about the organizers, the organizations, Berlin in general, and say we are very, very pleased to be here. But one thing that you might not have considered when it comes to DDBN is that for some people, DDBN is considered a threat to their life, because not DDBN in itself, but things that DDBN's material is being used for, genomics, DNA, etc., etc. So I've taken another stance of this problem because, well, we probably could agree, all of us, that Natural History Museum and botanical gardens are the last stronghold of classical taxonomy as we know it. This is probably beyond doubt, and we know that in many university institutions this is not taking place any longer, or only on a very scant basis. So we are the ones that are carrying the baton along. And one of the things that has been sort of prevalent through my career as a systematic botanist, starting off with doing very, very traditional taxonomic revisions, has been that taxonomists in general are very, very scared of changes. So just during my time, a lot of things has happened that have sort of, well, created a fuss in the community. First of all, it started, well, probably before I was active, with the chromosome numbers, the horrors of the chromosome numbers, because which also were considered a big threat, that what the heck can we do all these bands for? Really, nobody knows, but still, they're still being produced. And then in the early 1990s, molecular data started to come up, be used on a regular basis. And that was the start of a data explosion and a radically change in phylogenetics into molecular phylogenies. That really changed the way taxonomy was done. And some people thought this is going to be the death of everything. It's going to be a disaster. And even the very core of taxonomy was attacked by molecular data. You know about DNA barcoding and even the more controversial DNA taxonomy issues. But still, up to now, taxonomy has survived. Now the latest threat is massive amount of data. You could actually call it drowning by numbers, next generation sequencing data, phylogenomics, and maybe even museomics, a new emerging field that actually have mobilized our collections in a completely new way. Nobody had dreamt of before. Well, people were fiddling a little bit with that when people did Sanger sequencing, but it was a very, very complicated issue. But now you can go into the collections and actually do at least partial genomics. The quagga has been sequenced, the quagga genome, zebra-like animals has been sequenced, human fossils. So actually the collections has been mobilized in a new way. But everybody that has been working with genomics knows that this is not going to do the trick. It's electrophysiological, they're basically not scientific. We have to tell all the other scientists that this is as advanced as anything else. And just take a simple look. What we are doing here in the Spinach conference is, of course, that this is the traditional thing. You go out in the nature, you find a snake, you kill it, put it in, you kill it, types its metadata into a database, and then you store the specimen in your collection. That's a pretty traditional thing. But if you work with molecular data, what do? Well, you kill the same snake, take a sample, take a tissue sample, maybe you extract some DNA, put it into long-time storage, changes the specimen status in the database, and then hocus pocus, you have a new collection, which is technically seen not the least different from what you're already doing. You just have to do a few extra tricks. And that's what DGBN is actually making possible for people. So I think the way forward for taxonomy in general is not to be scared of any new technology. It is to do with a term borrowed from medicine. Some of you may have heard about translational medicine, but I think the way forward is translational museomics, an interdisciplinary branch of biology that support the integration of natural history collections, modern laboratory methodologies, and societal needs. And very often the discrepancy occurs because these things are separate. People in museums complain that their collections are just being used. Modern laboratory people are not really aware what they're using. I think we have to have a much more closer collaboration between these different areas and move forward in what I characterize as translational museomics. We don't want to end up like this. I love these two museums, the one in Dublin, I think, and the one in Paris, the Cuvier collection and the Natural History collection in Dublin, and I like the creatures on the bottom line. The creatures on the bottom line are all made of glass. It's made by the Blaska brothers and it's not biology, it's just art. But it's still very fantastic as the collections upside there are. So I think you have to realize that genomics is the future of biodiversity research. This means that we need to have the potential to preserve and make genomic samples available and accessible for research across the whole field. And we need to have a collaborative spirit among the world's biorepositories and research organizations. That is technically seen, or shortly seen, why DGBN was created. And I think another important message that also Johannes Vogler was alluding to is that no matter what you do, no matter how much information that database, how many species are scanned, how many high-resolution pictures are made to the World Wide Web, the ultimate value of what we have is the actual specimen, and remains so also in the world of genomics. Thank you.
So, after these opening remarks and welcome words, we are now coming to the real stuff. And I'm very glad to welcome Professor Michael Braungart to this conference. And I would like to just refer I would like to cite him. Just to be less bad is simply not good enough. I like that very much. Because it brings it to the point. So to reduce energy, to make processes more efficient is simply, on a long term, not an option anymore. And that is the main principle for Michael Braungart. He has a background in chemistry and process engineering. He was long very active in the chemistry section of Greenpeace International, before he founded his actual institution, the Environmental Protection Encouragement Agency, in 1987, also out of Greenpeace. He's furthermore a director, scientific director of different design and environmental research institutions. And today he's here to give us an insight in the cradle-to-cradle design concept. And I welcome you to the stage and hand over.
So, good afternoon. First of all, I'm talking to you about things which might be out of your comfort zone. So, but it's not that I'm anyhow arrogant or that I'm anyhow ethically better than any of you. I just have a different perspective. And I can tell you my ethical qualification is not higher than any of these neo-Nazis outside. Yeah. Just personally, I just don't have so much fear. So, because under stress, people forget ethical habits immediately. So 95% of the people want to be good if you give them a chance to be good. But 95% of the people misbehave completely under stress. Yeah. 70% of the traffic jams we have in the Netherlands, I'm teaching at the Erasmus School of Management in Rotterdam, and I did some tests. Yeah. When you are in a traffic jam, yeah, you want to be a little faster, you're switching the lane, you're causing 200 times more delay for the people behind you than the time which you can gain. Yeah. But you don't care. So 70% of all the traffic jams we have in the Netherlands is because of people switching the lanes. Yeah. So under stress, we don't behave ethically. So this is why I'm not really interested in sustainability, because it's an ethical concept. Yeah, we feel responsible. And by the way, I didn't forget, who is having an affair right now? Just because I just made a very terrible mistake. I was in Austria and had the Minister for Economy, and he came by and said, look, he really would like to know whether cradle-to-cradle works for Austria. Yeah, and I said, dear Minister, how is the relationship with your wife? Yeah, and do you think sustainable? Yeah, then I'm really sorry for you. So who is having an affair that I don't make the same mistake again? Yeah. Because then he stood up and he left, and because a day before it was in the newspaper that he had an affair with his assistant. Yeah, so to make sure that this is not happening, but nobody is raising his or her hand. So look, if we want to talk about the future, we need to be honest. Yeah. So look, what we say is, what happens in Berlin stays in Berlin. Okay. So I'm just talking about, yeah, a different perspective. So when you talk about this conference is sustainable, you can smell it. Yeah, this is a toxic bag from China with the most toxic catalyst, antimony, in it, and which is dispersed plague, which is really amazingly unhealthy. Yeah, this is sustainable. So it's not even sustainable; it's just stupid. Or if you take the name tags, for example, this is sustainable. So sustainability is bloody boring. Yeah, so. Let's talk about quality. A conference bag which is toxic waste is just a problem. Yeah, it's just terrible quality. And then people think we do it carbon neutral. Yeah, so we compensate the carbon dioxide. Did you ever see a carbon neutral tree? So think about you come home and you said, oh, I'm child neutral today. What an idiot. But carbon neutral, everybody says, hooray. Yeah? Berlin wants to be carbon neutral in 2050. So what I just want, I want that you change a little bit, yeah, the perspective on what you're looking. And this is why I want to talk to you about how we can use 40 years of blame and shame as an innovation engine. And you play a key role in that. Look, the species diversity in the city of Berlin is 3 times higher than in the surrounding agricultural desert. So why don't we want to be good instead of less bad? So I'm glad to be here. And what you see, I think you need to look a little broader for sponsors as well, because all the big companies now understand that biodiversity is the most critical thing, yeah, of all of the things. So we see this on the agenda of BASF and at the agenda of AkzoNobel. And they have big budgets, so just ask them for money, because at least if they still don't do great stuff, but at least they can support your work. So let's talk about traditionally, we think from cradle to grave. And we just try to minimize it being a little less bad. We just slow down the destruction. And we reach the opposite. As you know, if you have an ecological system and it collapses, the system, as fast collapse is far better than a slow collapse. Because when a system collapses, immediately it can recover from the niches. But when the niches, when you have a slow destruction, the niches die as well, so it cannot never recover. So if you just minimize being bad, it doesn't help us. We think it's environmental protection when we reduce a little bit of our damaging. That please protect the environment, reduce your water consumption, your energy bill, your waste production. But you're not protecting, you're only minimizing damage. If you beat your child only 5 times instead of 10 times, do you really protect your child? So you reach the opposite if you slow down the destruction. And I can tell you, just between you and me, East Germany has been protecting the environment so much better than West Germany just by inefficiency. They couldn't destroy all the wetlands, so now people try to make things more efficient. I was on my bicycle in '91 with unification here, and I can tell you it was so beautiful. We had local hotspots of contamination, but overall the species diversity was so much higher. Now we have big agricultural deserts. And what we do is we are now doing a thing what I call ecologism. It doesn't help the ecology, but it keeps us busy. Like socialism was never social in the East Germany, but ecologism doesn't help the ecology. So like Europe is using 3 million tons of palm oil to make biodiesel. 1 hectare of rainforest has 7,000 tons of carbon in Indonesia. 1 hectare of palm oil plantation has 60 tons. So I was talking to the president of the commission 2 years ago, Mr. Barroso, and he said, oh yes, Professor Braungart, I understand what you're saying. We will only use certified palm oil. So if you make the wrong things perfect, they are perfectly wrong. So, and a lot of these certified forest stewardship things don't really help at all. They only keep us busy. We are growing 21% of the European land, agricultural land, is used to grow renewable energy like corn or rape, whatever. How thick when you do so? We lose between 11 and 30 tons of topsoil per hectare and year. This is ridiculous. As you know, more than half of all the carbon is in soil, not in oil. So if you lose the topsoil, forget about all the other stuff. And this is what I call ecologism. It keeps us busy, but it doesn't really help the environment. And so we are importing the size of France to feed our animals, our farm animals, of crops like soy and whatever. And then we do biofuels here. This is an abuse. So traditionally, we do make waste, which means we put things into landfills, and we think it's environmental protection. We have 10 million tons of plastic going into the oceans every year. I can reduce it by 10%. Does it really help? It's a wrong design from the beginning. I have been fighting to save whales and turtles and all different types of sea animals, seals. Today there are far more animals being killed by plastics than by anything else. So how shall I tell a young student to become a chemist when this is a reality? This is just perverse. I'm walking with my students along the beach, and we collect these animals, and we find up to 500 pieces of plastic in such a bird. You can reduce it by 10%. How nice. But you can do something. If you want to do circular economy, just eat oysters. Because in each oyster we find at least 1,500 pieces of plastic in it. So if you want to get the plastic out of the ocean, just eat oysters. It's so simple. And when you drink champagne, it's much better than Prosecco. So I hope we see some champagne coming up here, because Prosecco has far bigger bubbles. So if you drink champagne, the bubbles are much smaller, so you can reduce your carbon footprint by 3 times just by drinking champagne. It's so easy to save the planet, isn't it? Our perverse agriculture takes 10 calories of energy to make 1 calorie of food. Yeah? So if you want to minimize your carbon footprint, just take the elevator. Yeah? Because if elevator is a completely balanced system. So if you take the elevator, you only need 2 calories. So if you want to minimize your carbon footprint, yeah, by 5 times, just take the elevator. Yeah? So simple. Yeah? And then you die a little earlier, you're protecting the environment even more. Yeah? So well, the key questions are the loss of topsoil. Yeah? That's one of the most urgent ones. And so agriculture, which just destroys our soil, is just the wrong agriculture. Look, we are talking about all different types of green stuff, yeah, and energy, but the real problem are things like phosphorus. Yeah? You need to pick up 2 grams of phosphate every day to make bones, to have teeth, to store energy in our body. But there's far more radioactivity being put in the environment, released to the environment, and used in all nuclear power plants. Just in the last 20 years, Germany put on the agricultural land 15,000 tons of uranium, yeah, as a contamination of the fertilizer. The soil in East Germany was much cleaner because they couldn't afford to buy artificial fertilizers in the same quantity. Yeah. So we're dependent from 2 countries which control 70% of all the phosphate. But how much? It's more a cultural thing, and that's why I'm so glad to be here, because the question I want to talk today is about what is our role in nature? What is our role on this planet? For being less bad, we have far too many people, yeah, far too many. So if we need to learn to be beneficial for the other species. Yeah. So phosphate needs to go back into biological systems. Yeah. But can you imagine how much we hate to be on this planet? Yeah? Because of religion tells us you're evil anyways. For you, it might be true. Yeah? So, and only God can redeem you. Yeah? So we think we only can be less bad. Yeah? So can you imagine there's not one organic label which allows that my own feces can go back? Yeah? My own excrements cannot go back. Yeah? It's not organic. It's only organic without me. So this is why you need to play a role to discuss the human role on this planet. Because if we don't get our own nutrients back, we are too many people on this planet. Even the most strictest green organic agriculture in Europe loses 2 tons of topsoil per hectare a year because our own nutrients don't go back. Yeah? So this is perverse, but it needs you. It needs you to say, what is our role? How can we learn to be a part of the whole thing? Yeah? And this is why, yeah, I can show you. This is a contamination just by uranium. It's a nightmare. Yeah? Okay, you can donate some blood cells for leukemia, whatever, help. But it makes leukemia for children, what we are doing. Yeah? So we need to get our own nutrients back, otherwise we are too many. Yeah? When we now do composting, for normal vegetables in Berlin, yeah, the compost cannot go back into agriculture anymore because it's so heavily contaminated. Yeah? So what we do, we take more fertilizer because the legal limits are 200 times higher than for compost. Yeah? So we need to look at all these different areas. Yeah? The air quality, for example, yeah, people in Berlin lose about 4 years of their lifespan by inhaling fine dust. Yeah? This is far more than by alcohol. Yeah? So we need to make different things. It's not the outdoor pollution, it's the indoor air pollution mostly. Yeah? Yeah, the indoor air quality in a building is about 3 to 8 times worse than outside urban air. Asthma is by far the most relevant children's disease in this country and in all over Europe. Yeah, 40% of all the buildings have mold, yeah, schimmel in Dutch. Yeah. So what we do is we look where does the contamination come from, which we find in buildings. Yeah? Because we need to see what is our role on this planet. And so I look for carpets, for example. So I put them in glass boxes, and I look what is off-gassing from there. And each peak, what you see here, is one chemical. Yeah? And you see the carpets have very low off-gassing compared to children's toys, for example. Yeah? And look, the European Union is now regulating 64 chemicals instead of 39 in children's toys. But just in Mattel toys, yeah, which is 20% of the world market, we find more than 600 dangerous chemicals for children. It's never made for children at all. Yeah? It's only made to be cheap. So if you take the off-gassing, you see a variety of peaks of unhealthy solvents and things like that. So people said, oh yes, it's a polyamide, yeah, it's a nylon carpet, so it's off-gassing chemicals. So people say, oh, let's go back to natural materials. Yeah? But God didn't design the sheep for the carpet, yeah? and not for being red wine resistant. Yeah? So if you really make a carpet into a sheep, you need a lot of chemicals. Yeah? So it's far more chemicals. And basically, when you have a 100% wool carpet, yeah, it's not wool, it's Teflon with wool inside. Yeah? It's a Teflon carpet. It's called Scotchgard or things like that. So this is why I'm here, because I ask you to tell people not to romanticize nature. Yeah? People roll their eyes like Prince Charles or Vandana Shiva and say, what did we do to Mother Earth? Yeah? But there is no Mother Earth. Yeah? Because the most toxic chemicals are still natural chemicals. And you need to tell them. Yeah? Yeah? If I tell this as a chemist, I just can analyze it, but you tell it from your own experience. Yeah? Yeah? Even the worst perverse synthetic toxic chemical is still 10 million times less toxic than what nature can do. Yeah? And is doing, actually. As well, yeah? Yeah, the strongest carcinogens are still natural chemicals by far. Nature needs mutagenicity to adopt a gene pool. Yeah? And one of the consequences is cancer, yeah? Of mutagenic effects. Yeah? So in each body, yeah, we produce 10 to 15 cancer cells every day. Our immune system is catching most of them. Yeah? For the individual, cancer is a disaster. For the collective, it's essential. Yeah? So how can we talk about Mother Earth? Which mother would give cancer to her child and poison her child? Yeah? So nature is not our mother. Nature is our partner. Nature is our teacher. Because when we are romanticizing nature, look, it's the same thing. You can try it out when you beat the shit out of your child. The next day you feel terrible. Yeah? Because so we have been destroying nature so systematically. Now we try to romanticize nature and talk about Mother Earth. But by romanticizing nature, yeah, we apologize always to be here. And out of guilt, you are not creative. And out of guilt, you are not friendly. Yeah? Yeah? When you said, oh yes, forget about the Nazi stuff in the past. Yeah? Because we don't want to hear about it anymore. Yeah? Instead of saying, hey, there is a certain responsibility and there's a certain learning from the past. But when you feel guilty, you are not creative and you're not friendly. So nature is our teacher, nature is our partner. And you are there to tell people, yeah, that we are partners and not romanticizing nature. Because when you're romanticizing, yeah, we are apologizing for being here. And then we are not really creative anymore. We can learn from nature. Yeah, I'm analyzing human milk now, mother's milk now for more than 28 years since I was a student. I can tell you there's not one sample which you could drink as drinking milk, not one. Yeah. The legal limits for drinking milk are exceeded for several parameters for several hundred times, yeah, not just a little bit. Yeah. So, but still, for all of them, because just to be, from a scientific perspective, it's good to breastfeed your baby, yeah, when you have plans to do so. Because you can detoxify yourself. Yeah? With one baby, you lose 1/3 of all your pollution. Isn't it great? Yeah? Yeah. So it's always good to have 3 children for that. Yeah. So, but to be scientifically accurate, it's always better to breastfeed a baby than any Nestle milk powder, but for a maximum of 9 months. Because as you know, when a baby is newborn, yeah, the liver doesn't work. So most of the stuff which is really amazingly dangerous is not metabolized, so it just flushes through. But not for longer than 9 months, because after 9 months, the liver is perfectly functioning. And then this is really chemical harassment, because the baby didn't ask for the stuff. Yeah? So let's learn from nature. But we need to learn to do our houses differently. Half of all the buildings, yeah, have these wallpapers, washable wallpapers. They're made out of the same stuff like your name tag, yeah? And they destroy fertility dramatically, yeah? So, because these plasticizers are not made for us. Okay, wear your name tag if you want to avoid to have a baby tonight, it's okay, yeah? Yeah, and because they behave like female hormones, so they systematically suppress natural hormone production. So, this is sustainable? Yeah, maybe, yeah. So we try to optimize existing stuff. Yeah? So we talk about how to get more out of the same resource. When I was a child, a cow was producing 5,000 liters of milk. Yeah. Now we are up to 12,000 in Netherlands, in Wageningen. Yeah. Should I squeeze another 1,000 liters out of this poor cow? Yeah. This is perverse. Instead of saying what is the right thing, we are optimizing the wrong things. If you want to go from Berlin, yeah, into Copenhagen, it doesn't help you to go efficiently into Milano. Yeah? You need to say, what is the right thing? And so we need to ask ourselves, what is healthy food? Not how can it make the same thing? Why should I use a little genetic engineering to breed another pair of legs or whatever? Yeah? So we are quite primitive at the beginning. So it needs to be your thing, because if you don't interfere with that, species diversity will disappear faster and faster. If you do recycling, out of 41 elements in a mobile phone, we only recover, and that's the world's best recycling we see, 9 elements, and not one of them is really rare, not one. We call it recycling. We take cars, United States is shipping their cars into Turkey and other countries because there it's illegal to use vehicle steel for making building steel. But we make building steel out of it. With that, we are losing all these rare elements. It needs to be you, if you are interested in species diversity, to make sure that these practices are ending. And you have the credibility because you can show what it means to the biosphere. All these rare elements are disappearing. In the United States, it's illegal to make used vehicles into building steel because of the earthquake risk in California. So United States, in 1999, they shipped more than 7 million cars into Turkey. What did they do? They made building steel out of it, and 20,000 people died because when the copper content in steel is higher than 0.5%, the steel gets brittle and breaks like an osteoporosis bone. And so we had an earthquake, and because of loss of diluting these metals in Western Europe, we are diluting the steel with virgin steel to get the copper content down. But this is like if you would take this nice animal and make hamburgers out of it. This is what we call recycling. How perverse. There's a copper mill in Hamburg which makes 4 times more municipal waste than all the municipal waste of Europe, 4 times more, just by making copper. So here, this is what you could see, and the reason is poor recycling, because we don't get these rare elements back. So we want to be carbon neutral, climate neutral. How is it? It's just perverse. This is guilt management. Okay, it has to do with our religion. We feel terrible for being here. So if you don't define our role in a different way, we are too many people on this planet. If you just try to minimize our footprint, okay, you can do something. If you take an airplane from Frankfurt to New York, and you take a little tablet to empty your digestion system, it saves 5 tons of kerosene. It matters. So we take a northern approach. When you're in Sweden, your footprint is a disaster. So we try to minimize our footprint because so you can cut off your toes and minimize your footprint, or you can wear high heels for men. Then you have a smaller footprint. So a lot of things you can do. You can cut your hair shorter. It saves 7,000 liters of warm water, for example, compared to your hair. It's cut. So you want to be zero emission. Do you see how critical you are, how important you are? Because the question is, what is our role on this planet? And this is, do we need to say, what is our interaction with the other species? What can we learn from them? We want to be zero emission. You can only be zero emission when you don't exist. Even if you shoot yourself right now, don't do so. I have a liability problem otherwise. So, but even if you would shoot yourself right now, you would have emissions. So it doesn't help. You're here. And this tree doesn't have zero emission. This tree makes oxygen. This tree is beneficial. This is where we are. This is traditional sustainability. We said, I'm 100% evil, 90% evil, 80%, and my goal is 0. It's all guilt management. Sure, it's driven by religion as well, because when you think you're evil anyways and only God can redeem you, you only can be less bad. And then it's 0. This means your business curve is amazing. So So it's not about efficiency, it's about effectiveness. Yeah? So why don't we say, this is where we are and this is where we want to be. And now the more you buy, the quicker we can change. Yeah? So efficiency means optimizing the existing things, doing things right. Effectiveness means what is the right thing. So it makes sense to reduce the use of oil and gas, sure, but where is our beneficial footprint? Yeah? Where are we supportive for the other species? Yeah? Look at these three, completely inefficient, but very effective. Yeah? Every material is a nutrient, not 10% less waste. Yeah? Every material supports life using the right energy and supports diversity. So how primitive are our buildings compared to that? Yeah? So it's not about a triple bottom line anymore. It's about a triple top line. We think the highest for us is to have no impact. But for having no impact, our biomass is far too high. Yeah? Our material flows are far too high. We need to learn to have beneficial impacts. This is why it's a triple top line, not a triple bottom line. So this is why we need to reinvent everything what is around us. Yeah? Everything what gets consumed, like food, like detergents, like shoe soles, like brake pads, needs to go to biological systems, needs to support biological systems. Yeah? Look, the tires now for our vehicles last twice as long than they did 30 years ago. So we think this is good. Yeah? Because, because we need less tires. Yeah? But the tire particulates are much more toxic by that, because before the rubber hits the road and stayed there. Yeah? Now we inhale it. Yeah? We pick it up. Yeah? So we're inhaling 400 to 500 chemicals. About 20% of people living along highways, urban highways, have severe respiratory problems because of inhaling tire dust. Yeah? So we are not consumers. We are only consuming one side, the stuff which gets changed chemically, biologically, physically. But for most of the stuff, we are service users. Yeah? We are not consuming a washing machine. We are not consuming a TV set. We just use them. Yeah? Yeah. So we need to learn to manage the biosphere and to support the biosphere, and we need to learn to take care of the technosphere. So it's no longer about sustainability. It's about innovation. Now innovation can be sustainable, otherwise it's not an innovation. Yeah? Yeah, my mother was still washing the laundry of the family in a river. Yeah? When her parents finally could buy a washing machine, it was not sustainable. She lost her job immediately. Yeah? The mobile phone was not sustainable for the ones with stationary phones. The steam engine was not sustainable for the ones who had horses. Yeah? No way. So don't talk about sustainability. It only optimizes the existing stuff. And the existing stuff, we are too many. Yeah? So let's talk about planetary boundaries. Yeah? When we were gathering and hunting, as you might know, the limit for on this planet were just about 5 million people. Yeah? Maybe argue 7 million, whatever. Yeah? When we learned to do traditional agriculture, the limit of this planet was about 500 million people. When we learned to do industrialized agriculture, the limit was about 5 billion people. Yeah? And we are beyond that. We are systematically destroying this planet, and agriculture is the worst effect in that context. Yeah? So if we continue just to be a little less bad, it doesn't help us. Yeah? So let's talk about quality. A product which becomes waste, plastic which ends up in the ocean just as a quality problem. That's it. And it's not beautiful when people cannot have a living. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. So we talk about these planetary boundaries, but look, if we see our planet, it's just frozen light. Yeah, if you really take it from a physics perspective, because we have abundance of material, of energy. We can make this planet far more sophisticated. What nature is doing. The size of Europe by vegetation is 3 times bigger than it would be without vegetation, because the exchange with the atmosphere is much higher with any tree. Yeah? Sure. So if we learn to become native to this planet, we could easily make a planet which equals 5 planets if we want to do so. Yeah? So without cutting down one of the trees. Yeah? So let's talk about products. Here, just to understand, the first thing is to talk about sustainability. Did you smell the brochure which you have for your conference? This is toxic waste. Yeah? There are about 50 chemicals in it which are never intended to be composted, never. Yeah? When you now make toilet paper out of it, later in recycling, you're contaminating the whole biosphere, yeah? Just by the toilet paper. Yeah? So if you want to do a conference, really, then ask the conference organizers to have a paper which is compostable. Yeah? And because of being less bad, yeah, we are now, 30 years ago, we had about 90 dangerous chemicals in printing materials. Today, in Europe, we are down to 50 dangerous chemicals. But where's this difference, whether you got shot 50 times or 90 times? Yeah? You're dead anyways. Yeah? So why don't we define to make paper which is designed for the biosphere, because it's consumed. It needs to be your role to define what is compatible with the biosphere. Yeah? So with the company Google in Austria, it's the first paper which is designed for the neo-Nazis. Yeah? Because they like to burn books, now they can do it safely. Yeah? So, so we choose all the chemicals, and I expect you for the next conference to have a paper which is compostable. Because what is happening now, if you want to save costs, if you don't get enough sponsors, yeah, you will do your catalog and your printed material being printed in China. Yeah? It's 40% cheaper, yeah? And it has 90 dangerous chemicals in it too. So, and you said, oh, it's sustainable. Like the conference bag, it's made in China as well. Yeah? You can smell it. Yeah? And it will be cheaper. You can organize your conference 40% cheaper with all the printing stuff with it. But why don't you say, hey, we want to have compostable paper. Here's an example.
Österreich ist Weltmeister im Altpapierrecycling.
Sorry, it's a German version of
Schon
that.
9 von 10 Zeitungen und 9 von 10 Wellpappschachteln werden aus Altpapier hergestellt. Das ist gut, weil es zeigt, wie viele Menschen hier bereit sind, etwas für den Umweltschutz zu tun.
So it says 9 out of 10 cardboards are made from recycled paper. And what it means is to say, but it doesn't help us. 40% is waste, it's toxic waste. And when we make stuff out of it, yeah, it makes toxic sludge. And the stuff needs to be landfilled. We only recover 60%, we call it recycling. Yeah. And the sludges go as fillers in cardboards. And these cardboards are amazingly contaminated when we pack our pizza. With each pizza we eat 1/3 of a business card with it. So just to make and waste things just to be a little less bad doesn't really help us at all. Just optimizes the wrong thing. Yeah. So when we have more and more people and try to be a little less bad, it doesn't really help us at all. Yeah.
Neue Produkte herstellen zu können.
So just
Schon heute verbrauchen wir jedes Jahr mehr Ressourcen,
and we
als
see
die
this
Erde wieder
planet,
regenerieren kann.
as we do it, it doesn't
Also
work.
einfach weniger
Yeah.
verbrauchen, oder?
So
Leider nein.
it doesn't help us just to be a little less
unsere
bad.
Ressourcen
Yeah.
höchstens aufschieben, aber nicht
So we only
verhindern.
delay the destruction of the planet, but
Dann
we
fahren
don't
wir nur
change anything.
langsamer, aber weiterhin in die falsche Richtung.
So if it
Damit
goes
haben wir
into
noch
the
nichts
wrong
getan,
direction, we
um die
need to
Kurve zu
learn to make a
kriegen.
turnaround
Denn schädliche
and to go in the
Verhaltensweisen
right
werden
direction
auch nicht
instead of
nützlich, wenn man
optimizing
sie
the wrong
weniger
thing.
oft
Yeah.
ausübt. Genau
So if
darum
you make
geht es
wrong
heute
things
aber.
perfect, they're just
Produkte so zu
perfectly wrong.
gestalten,
Yeah.
dass sie nützlich sind und nicht nur weniger schädlich.
So it doesn't help us to be less bad.
Die
It
schönsten
means to be
Beispiele
good.
dafür liefert die Natur.
And this is what we can
Ein
learn
Kirschbaum
from
produziert
nature.
unendlich
Yeah.
viele Blüten.
If you see the
Ist die
petals,
Blütezeit
yeah,
schließlich
if you see
vorbei,
the leaves
fallen die
falling
Blütenblätter zu
down,
Boden.
it's endless
Sie bilden dann aber keine
abundance,
Müllberge,
not
sondern
minimizing
fließen
damage.
vollständig als
But
Nahrung
all
in
the
den
materials
Kreislauf der
are
Natur
beneficial
zurück.
instead of a little less
Alle
bad.
Ressourcen
Yeah.
bleiben erhalten und können wieder und wieder genutzt werden.
So the stuff can be reused
Das
permanently.
Cradle-to-Cradle-Design-Prinzip
With Cradle-to-Cradle, all
funktioniert
these
ganz
products
genauso.
need to be defined
Ziel ist es,
positively.
immer mehr
Yeah, not
Materialien
free
in
of
Stoffkreisläufen
asbestos
zu
or free
führen.
of whatever. If I
Dafür
invite you for
müssen
dinner and tell you it's
Produkte
free
aber
of
von
chicken, that
Anfang
doesn't
an
really
auch so
help you.
gestaltet werden,
Yeah.
dass
So
sie
we need to
am Ende des
define what we
Lebenszyklus
have.
wieder
Yeah.
in den biologischen
And so we have
oder
been
in den
doing a
technischen
series of
Kreislauf
products,
zurückfließen
and
können.
we have been doing all
Mittlerweile
different
gibt
types
es schon
of
viele
things.
Produkte, die
And
dafür noch
yeah,
einmal
we
neu
did this for
erfunden
TV
wurden.
set for
Von
Philips, we did
Fernsehern
this
über
for
Couchbezüge und
sofas,
Teppiche
for all
bis zu
different types of
Shampoo,
products. And
T-Shirts
now
und
we
Klopapier.
have paper as well,
Ganz
even
neu in
toilet
diesem
paper
Kreis sind
designed for you behind and to leave it
Cradle-to-Cradle
behind. Yeah.
Dafür wurden
So,
sämtliche Inhaltsstoffe auf Umwelt- und
and you find the
gesundheitsrelevante
English
Risiken
version of
untersucht
Googler in the
und bei
internet.
Bedarf
Just put
ersetzt.
it in YouTube, Googler Cradle to Cradle.
Und
You
jetzt
find
sind
it in
Papier,
English as
Farben
well.
und Zusatzmittel
So now,
endlich
when you
so
define it
beschaffen,
positively,
dass ein
all these
ganzheitliches
materials can go
Recycling
back
möglich
to the
ist.
biosphere.
Nicht nur der
But
Zellstoff
is
kann
what
wieder in den
expect
Kreislauf
you
zurück.
if you do such a
In
conference
Zukunft
to say,
könnten
look,
sogar
we
die
want our
Klärschlämme als
materials
Dünger
being
oder für den
designed for the
Humusaufbau verwendet
biosphere.
werden.
Now the
Und
sludges
wenn
as
dieser
well can
Humus
go back.
nicht
They can
gerade
go
auf
into
einem Acker
compost.
landet,
Yeah,
dann
we
wachsen
can
darauf
burn
ja
it and the
vielleicht
ash
wieder
can go
arme
back
Bäume,
to
die den
biological
Zellstoff für neues
systems.
Papier
Yeah,
liefern.
this is true innovation.
Cradle-to-Cradle-Druckprodukte
If we don't
könnte
do
man
so,
sogar
we will
direkt
lose freedom of
kompostieren.
press in Europe,
Und wenn
because
sie verbrannt
if we
werden,
have
ist
the
die Asche
monthly
auch noch
magazines
gut für
and
den
catalogs being
Gemüsegarten.
printed in China. We do high-tech
Mit Cradle
recycling
to
for
Cradle
Chinese
können
hazardous
wir den
waste.
Kreislauf
And we think it's
schließen.
so expensive to
Und
do
mit
things in
Google
Europe.
können
And the
auch
daily
Sie jetzt
daily
genauso
newsprint will be
drucken,
4
wie die
times more
Natur drucken
expensive,
würde.
because if you
Los
don't use
geht's,
it,
machen wir endgültig Schluss mit
catalogs and also
Ressourcenvernichtung.
newsprints as well.
Starten wir
So
gemeinsam die
then
nächste
how you can afford to
Druckrevolution.
buy a newspaper anymore. Yeah. So this is how you can make it different. So you see toilet paper. Yeah, we did the first plaque. You can learn it from your conference bag. This is the first plaque which is designed for skin contact. Your conference bag is one of the dispersed plaques, which is amazingly sensitizing. Yeah? So you see it for T-shirts. You can do it for all different types of things. You see, this is the first compostable leather. It took me 19 years to work on it. It worked 24 years for compostable paper. But now we have it. And if you don't use it even for your conferences, how should we get it on the market? Yeah. So the technosphere is more interesting as well. Yeah? We learn for the technosphere it's the same thing. We now can make carpets which are actively cleaning the air, not just not toxic. If your boyfriend is not stinking, this is a lot. Yeah? But when he helps you to clean up the kitchen, then it's beneficial. Yeah? So let's see it for office furniture. We see it for all different types of things. There are a lot of building materials around. So this is where I need you. We need to make buildings like trees. We need to make buildings which clean the air, buildings which clean water, buildings which support life. I did a lot of work for that. We can do this in China. We can raise the flora, and we can get more space because we can use the walls as agricultural space as well. So we don't steal agricultural land anymore. Yeah, we can get the same. And this is technology from Germany, by the way, from Bremen and from Stuttgart. Yeah, so it's high tech. Yeah, so this is. So we can basically use the walls. There's a strawberry building here, for example. Yeah, there's a raspberry building here. Yeah. You can see this. Why don't you make a little excursion next time? This is the Dutch Institute of Ecology. It's made a building like a tree. It's a habitat for 200 other species. And it needs you. It needs you to demonstrate and to explain things like that. Yeah? And sure, we can recover materials from that. And sure, we need to recover phosphorus for that. Yeah? You can get the slides. Make an excursion to Venlo. The Venlo will be opening in September as the most sophisticated public building here, cleaning the air, supporting life. What is really interesting, if you do so, you reduce the fear. Yeah? Vandalism goes down in the school for more than 95%. It doesn't really exist anymore. When children feel respected, yeah, they are friendly. When they feel organized somewhere, they get aggressive and they destroy the building. Yeah? So it's about learning from nature. It needs you to explain how to make algae for walls and to use the right species for that, etc. You need to be involved far more in that. Yeah? If you grow algae at a wall, it allows it to be 80 times more productive than growing corn. If you eat beef, you only pick up about 20% of the protein. So the people in India are right if they don't eat so much beef because it's the most unhealthy form of protein. Yeah. But if you eat algae, you pick up more than 80% of the protein. Yeah. So, and you don't need to steal agricultural land. You can use the facades of houses to make it. Yeah. But it needs you to make buildings like trees. Yeah. It's healthy. So the money which we earn, we put into a non-for-profit organization, O Instituto Ambiental, and I need your work for that as well, and your support. We are using wastewater from favelas in Brazil, but as well in India and China, to do agriculture. And it's a garden. Yeah? It's a garden. On 1 hectare of land, a farmer can earn about $2,000 a month. Yeah? We grow chicken, we grow pigs, we learn, and this is where we do ecosystems and biogas at the same time. The byproduct is clean water. Yeah? The water is much cleaner than the drinking water what they have in the favelas. But the real byproduct is that people don't kill each other anymore. The crime rate goes down for more than 90%. When people have a positive vision together, they don't kill each other anymore. Yeah? So think about celebrating human beings. What we do traditionally, we think it's better you're not here. Yeah? So when we talk about overpopulation, like Al Gore, yeah, we're creating a problem because when you question the existence of people, they become greedy and angry. Yeah? You see this in Israel. Yeah? When people say, it's better you're not here, yeah? Then people become angry and greedy. So even the poorest of the poor people are always friendly and sharing. and and are happy to share things when they feel accepted. So why don't we celebrate life, humans on this planet, then we reach the opposite. So we do this in China, you see it here, apartment buildings, but we stay always in the middle. And in Europe, it's the worst because we think it's an ethical responsibility to take care of the environment. No, you're just an idiot if you don't do so. Yeah? So people don't see it. For example, solar systems need to be services. Yeah? We analyze the European solar panel after 19 years, it has 93% of the efficiency still. Yeah? A Chinese solar panel lost more than half of the efficiency in 5 years. Yeah? So over the lifespan of 20 years, the European solar panel is much cheaper. But you cannot sell it. You can only sell 20 years of harvesting photons. Yeah? So this is a company, maybe you know BMW. Yeah? It's a car company. Yeah? And what they do, these idiots, they are buying robots. Yeah? How could you do so? They don't understand digital thinking. Why should you buy a robot when you need welding points? Yeah? So they need to, instead of buying the service, they buy the product. Yeah? Then you're stuck with a robot. It's like if you buy a laser printer, yeah, you pay all the toners, yeah, stuff. Why should you? Instead of paying the service, yeah? Then it makes sense to use the materials as technical nutrients. Then it makes sense not to make it into steel recycling in buildings. No, it makes sense to make it as a service, yeah, for that. So we stay in the middle. We can take these materials, we can put, for example, copper as a service in windmills, which means the windmill is $60,000 cheaper because you don't sell the copper, you sell the use of the copper for 20 years. Yeah? So we do buildings as material banks. This is critical, buildings passports. These are the schools I'm teaching. Just to give you an example, and would love to see you in Venice, I'm the only non-architect invited to demonstrate the future of buildings in Biennale. It's the Olympics of Architects, and there are 90 architects invited to be there. And what I'm doing, I'm demonstrating buildings like trees. And sure, I'm a chemist. I need your expertise because you know biology, you know how to connect. I only can give you the basis of the thinking behind it for that. So this is what you see. It's in the main building, yeah, and you can see it here. It's just beautiful. So it's celebrating life. So it's not about carbon neutral, it's about carbon positive. It's not about efficiency, it's about effectiveness. Think about flowers. Yeah, when your wife is really angry about you, 50 roses completely inefficient but very effective. Yeah? Or take a lipstick. In Europe, a woman eats about 6.3 kilograms of lipstick during her lifetime. Completely inefficient but very effective, I can tell you. Yeah? So think about nature is not efficient, nature is effective. Yeah? So it's not about less bad, it's about more good. It's not about low carbon. Did you ever see low carbon tree? Yeah. So no, it's beneficial carbon. So it's not about passive houses, it's about a building like a tree. A passive house, how can you seal a building? Yeah? When the indoor air quality is so terrible. Yeah? A passive house, okay, if you have some sadomaso needs, a passive house might help you. But is it really what you want? Yeah. So it's a building like a tree. It's not guilt management, avoid, reduce. It's about celebrating life. This is why I'm here. And this is why I'm so thankful that I can talk to you, because I need your expertise, yeah, in that. But not just in museums, but to learn from the museum. And definitely, yeah, this makes the museums of the future with it. Yeah. So it's about, instead of cradle to grave, it's about cradle to cradle. So let's make buildings like a tree. Yeah? Let's support life. Yeah? And it needs your expertise. You need to be in the center for that. Buildings which are habitats for other species. Yeah? Buildings which celebrate, make soil. Yeah? So whenever you want, next weekend I will be in Venice as well. I can demonstrate it to you. We show it in beautiful pictures. This is a footprint. We've celebrated footprint. People can leave their footprint behind. Yeah? So it's supporting, it's about stopping asthma, yeah? No chemical harassment. Yeah? Yeah. So it says, hey, look, let's really celebrate make our footprint a wetland instead of minimizing damage. Yeah? Isn't it beautiful? So here you see the battlefield between traditional architecture with sealing your buildings, standardized buildings, whereas the same building is in Stockholm or in Sao Paulo, now between a regional adjusted agriculture. So it's about celebrating a footprint, yeah, instead of minimizing damage. So if you take the diapers, for example, a baby, yeah, in Berlin takes about 5,000 diapers. And to give you the good news, it's 20% of the waste stream of Berlin, yeah, municipal waste stream, diapers. And the good news is the adult diapers volume is already bigger than baby diapers. Yeah? So we are all in the pre-diaper phase basically here. Yeah? So if we change the superabsorbers, yeah, the superabsorber from being polyacrylates into being a natural material like cellulose-based, yeah, we could easily grow with one baby in Israel or in Tunisia or Egypt at least 150 trees. Yeah. So the baby can be carbon positive just by the diapers if you choose the right material if you want. So we collect it, we sterilize it, we separate the plastic, we use the superabsorber, and we can make a substrate to grow trees with it. So why don't we want to be neutral when you can be positive? This is our main office in Hamburg, but we have offices all over the world. But the nice thing is where I want to show you, in 1765, in this building, yeah, the human rights were declared in German language first in 1765, before the French Revolution, even before the American Declaration of Independence. Yeah. Now, in this building, from 1380, we are the biggest party in this building. Between the Declaration of Human Rights and the rights for women to vote, it took 150 years in Germany. So things take time. So be patient, but change it. Think from efficiency to effectiveness, from reducing your footprint, from becoming native to this planet. And to whom else should I talk if I'm not talking to you about celebrating life on this planet? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this very impressive talk. I think it reached all of us, and it gave us a start for rethinking things and for process, and it will continue over the next days and weeks and months and for our life. And I'm sure there are a lot of questions from your side.
So in Netherlands, we offer €5 for the first question, okay?
Sorry. Hi, Miranda Lowe from the Natural History Museum in London. What are your solutions or suggestions for the museum community, where we spend most of our time trying to save collections, protect them, put them in archival storage and boxes that aren't compostable and things like that, you know?
If you would use this conference or the next one maybe to be a little more prepared, and you would make a declaration for a new organic, which allows that we are a part of it, this would be one of the most powerful statements I could imagine, because you know what biosphere means, you know what biodiversity means, and you need to define the role of humans differently, because for less bad we are too many, far too many people on this planet. Yeah? So if you could come together and say, we want to see an organic agriculture where we belong to, where we are partners of the other species. Yeah? Look, the biomass of ants is so much bigger than of humans, and they are not an environmental problem because they support life. Yeah? They don't make waste. Yeah? They don't minimize waste as well. They eliminate the concept of waste. There is no concept of waste. Yeah? So they equal easily in their calorie consumption 30 billion people. So if we understand that, then we can come back from your perspective and ask young engineers to come up with other things than just reducing 10% of carbon emission. Yeah? That doesn't help us. It only keeps us busy, like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Yeah? So it doesn't really help us. Yeah? So if you take a teaspoon and replace it by a bigger spoon to shovel out the water from the Titanic, does it really help us? No, we really need to look at our role on this planet. Yeah? This is a key question. Yeah? What is our role on this planet? And you, because you look at the interaction between species, you can help to define our role on this planet. And I can tell you, for that there is endless funding as well, because this is what we need to look at it. And then what you do is immensely political. Yeah? And it's immensely important to define, to understand a community of people. Because out of fear, like we see it right now, people become greedy and angry. Yeah? And then they will become racists, and they will be right-wing people, because ethically, under stress, we forget our ethical habits. So don't make it an ethical thing. Yeah? Understand it's a quality and beauty thing, and it's your thing. Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Well, I think you said maybe we're too many people on the planet, and I think at the moment most of them use lots of energy and natural resources. And do you think just by, let's say, transforming this to another way, we can really get out of the problems? Because I think we will still use energy and the resources. So we're just too many, aren't we?
No, not at all. Yeah, we could easily be even 30 billion people if we would learn how to use our material and energy flows. Yeah, we have 20,000 times more energy input than we will ever need. If we would go to a garden-based agriculture, it's about 10 to 15 times more productive than any Monsanto genetic engineering agriculture, and it could keep far more people busy. The most critical thing is now what we see in Africa when we do the same industrialized agriculture than we see in the United States. Yeah? What a nightmare. So what we need to do is definitely, just one idea, is to give up retirement. Yeah? Can you imagine, in this country, we have 27 million full-time employed people. Yeah? We have some part-time employed people as well. But we have 21.8 million retired people. Yeah? We declare them waste when they get 65, and we ship them into Mallorca, like you do it in Florida. Yeah? So, and then this is not fair, because after 3 years they are completely retarded. You can talk to them about the nicest golf course, the best fish, the nicest restaurant. That's it. Yeah, and that's not fair. It's not what we when Europe introduced social security. Yeah, the average person only had 1 year of retirement. Yeah. 1 year. Our lifespan today is twice as high than it was 100 years ago. And we have the retirement age, which is lower. If we would have the same percentage retiring than we had it in 1893, yeah, our retirement age would be 88.2 years. Yeah. So this doesn't work. We cannot pay for people for not doing anything except traveling to the Silk Road in China, whatever perverse thing, or diving in Indonesia, whatever. We cannot do this. It's not affordable, not for the planet and not for society per se. So if we give up retirement, we have far more time for our people who really need help. When you have Alzheimer, you need 6 people around you who take care for you 24 hours, basically. Yeah? So not 8 minutes of whatever. Yeah? So when people are ill, when they are really handicapped, they need far more support. Yeah? So what about giving up retirement and say, 1/3 we are active to support the traditional economy. 1/3 we're active for society because, as I said, our people who are need help and our children need far more attention and time. And 1/3 is to interact with nature. Yeah? So we are not too many at all if we learn to enter the food chain at a level of algae, of bacteria, at the level of mushrooms. So nutrition is much more healthy as well. When we want to eat hamburgers every day, yeah, we are too many, by far. But this is not, this is stupid anyway, so why should we do so? So we need to come up with different answers. We really need to reinvent all the stuff. And sure, we need to base our society on renewables. And how easy you can see, I'm working on a project with compressed air in Canada. We can guarantee 24 hours, 7 days a week electricity, by compressed air from windmills, for 5.6 cents a kilowatt hour, which is exactly half of what the nuclear industry in Britain gets guaranteed now for the next 30 years, plus inflation compensation there. So we are half as cheap as nuclear energy now, half of it, So the energy side we will fix, but the material side, we don't have enough meteorites coming in, So this is why we need to understand to use our materials as nutrients in the technosphere and in the biosphere. We need to rebuild topsoil immediately, urgently. Rebuild topsoil, this is a different thing. If you would say, hey, wait a minute, why don't we make an economy which supports life? When you do a garden-based agriculture, the Netherlands are the second most important exporter of agricultural products. So with a size, which is smaller than the state of North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany, the second most important exporter of agricultural products with a garden-based agriculture. Sure, with the wrong energy sources, but we could do this differently when we choose the energy sources which we have in that. We have endless amounts of energy available for that to make sure that the entropy changes don't happen for us, that we can make, like nature, with the abundance of energy, a far more sophisticated system.
So it's definitely linked with a change in consumption.
No,
not the type consumption.
No, it's a change just with a definition of our role. When we feel accepted, right now, when you have the people who said, you are too many anyways, so I ask yourself, why don't you shoot yourself immediately when you think we are too many? Why don't you start with it? So instead of understanding, when people feel safe, when they feel accepted, they come to a far more humble lifestyle because they want, because they are happy if others are happy as well. So the first thing is our role on this planet, to say, what is our role? And this is why celebrating our footprint. Make a big footprint, but make it a wetland, a beneficial footprint. Not, oh, we need to reduce consumption. No, this is only what people do when they want to eat your lunch, and said, you need to reduce your consumption. How nice. No way. We can celebrate abundance. You don't need to reduce the blossoms of a cherry tree. You can say, oh, how are these unnecessary blossoms all? How could we have them? No, it's a culture of generosity and abundance, not about minimizing damage and reducing and avoiding. It's a different mindset behind it. What means that we need to define our role differently. And you look at the role of species in ecosystems. This is why it's your task to discuss it and to work on it, isn't it?
So there's a famous Peanuts cartoon where Lucy is giving her talk in front of her class, and she says the biggest problem we face is that there are too many people in the world, but nobody wants to leave. And everybody in the class starts laughing, and she runs home. But it's a very good question. Nobody wants to leave. All of the things that you've talked about, which are very important matters, have at their basis making people want that. But how do we make people want what you're talking about, as opposed to wanting cars or wanting cruises or wanting TVs or just wanting their children to be happy? How do we make people want what you're talking about?
Look, I never had a car in my life, because why should I have? It's a burden for me. Whenever I need a car, I rent a car. When I was a student, I was analyzing a TV set, and I asked, it was in '84, and I asked the people, do you want to own 4,360 different chemicals, or do you want to watch Larry King live, or other TV, football, whatever? Then I was claimed to be a communist because I was questioning ownership. All the new products are all services. Why should you own them? All the new ones. So the first thing is to celebrate life on this planet, to celebrate humans. Then they change their lifestyle. But if you tell them it's better they are not here, they don't want to leave, then you reach the opposite. You make them more and more greedy and more aggressive. I have great friends in Israel. I can tell you, as soon as they talk about Palestinians, their face changes. They look like the most hostile people I can imagine. Because when you have a permanent threat, when you don't know at any bus station where you're standing, if not somebody stabbing in your mirror, then you become completely angry and hostile. So out of fear, we behave like that. So the first thing is really to look at humans and to say, wait a minute, what is the agriculture which could feed 30 billion people, not to grow corn genetically modified, whatever, just to improve a little bit the yield. We need to say, what is the proper agriculture? What is the right thing? Yeah, and then we see, entering the food chain at a lower level, we could easily feed 30 billion people. So without cutting down one tree, without destroying any habitat, extra, whatever, we can just take the agricultural land, what we have. Take Germany as a country. If we would host all the refugees of the world, our population density would be still much lower than of the Netherlands. Yeah? If we would import 60 million people, yeah? And so this country is amazingly productive with a garden-based agriculture, yeah? Which allows people to be connected to what they are doing. Yeah? And this is a different thing than making industrialized agriculture and huge areas of corn growing biogas and bioethanol. This is what I call ecologism. Yeah? It doesn't really help the ecology, it only keeps us busy in that. So, but it needs your input. You need to say, hey, let's think about what can be our role on this planet to be beneficial for the other species, not less bad. For less bad, definitely we are too many. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Definitely need to follow up sometime. Thank you very much for coming. Time for coffee. Before I forget, tonight we will have the pub quiz. And I've heard there are still some places left for people who would like to join. And there are still some colleagues left who need to pay. I'm sorry for that, but you will find Christiana on the office in a lobby.